So good afternoon. My name is Julia. I'm from ABInBev, and I will present today our digital transformation journey for supply chain planning. So in terms of the agenda today, I will talk about ABInBev. You probably know our brands. I'm sure you know our beers. Then I'll talk a little bit how our journey evolved. Then I'll talk about what kind of innovations from technology point of view we brought together with online solutions. I have a big section on adoption and learning, so I think that's the key focus of the presentation. I will share our future roadmap, and then we will have a time for Q&A. So we are a large beer company. Our dream is to create future with more cheers. And our revenue is $50 billion, our supply chain variable costs are $22 billion, and of course supply chain planning plays a big role in optimizing those supply chain variable costs, and they orchestrate the entire organization to make sure that it's most cost optimal network allocations, forecast accuracy is improving, and things like that. So we have a big, significant amount of money to look at. You probably know our brands. So some of our global brands are here. So it's Budweiser, Stella Artois, Corona. So we have around 500 beer brands, and our history dates back to 600 years ago. As an icebreaker, I decided to bring my favorite beers. So the first one is Brahma Black. You can only buy it in Brazil. It has a shelf life of 3 days. So it's a nightmare to plan because normally it's half a year shelf life. It's absolutely worth chasing for. I was in Brazil last week. It's absolutely amazing taste. When I arrived in the restaurant, I ordered 2 glasses because I was worried if it goes out of stock while I'm in the restaurant. So I decided to put some safety stock. So it's so if you're in Brazil, especially in São Paulo, definitely try it out. Then I like Hertog Jan Grand Prestige. It's produced in Netherlands, and you can quite easily find it also in Belgium. And Leffe Brun, that you can easily find in the UK. I normally buy it in Morrison's. So I thought that if you don't have any key takeaways from this session, at least you will benefit from my beer recommendations. So in terms of our ecosystem, we have over 200 breweries. We have almost 100,000 suppliers, 6 million customers. So we operate in a big ecosystem, and for sure we need this to be supported by a proper automated solution. Our transformation journey had the following overall context. So our portfolio was growing. We are introducing lots of innovations. We have a premiumization trend. We are going beyond beer. We have a strong non-alcoholic agenda, and we're also trying to sell also hard liquor, cocktails, and things like that. So it's becoming more and more complex to plan. Our networks also become more complex. We have more new distribution models. Our source of materials also increasing. We have B2B platform with the marketplace that is also bringing lots of complexity. And over COVID time, we realized that collaboration within supply chain is important, and this is something that we're accelerating now. We need to build more more collaboration for the entire supply chain, especially with our suppliers. That's our key focus. And we also saw that more advanced tools and algorithms were available, and we were not utilizing them because we didn't have the solutions that will embrace it, and we didn't have also people capabilities to start using them. So our journey started in 2019. We worked with Accenture for the full year. So we analyzed our markets. We clustered them into the market archetypes. We came up with what kind of capabilities we need from the solutions. We were using SAP APO, golden standard for supply chain planning for many years, but of course it was already outdated. Our planners were not happy with the system. And so it was a banning platform. APO was announced that it's stopped supporting, and it introduced a very costly replacement option. So at that time, we realized that actually there are many vendors that are offering supply chain planning solutions. So we started with 12 suppliers. So we gradually assess them versus the capabilities that we defined. In the end, we had around 4 suppliers, and we did POC with 4 of them in different markets. We also engaged all our regions since day one into defining our dream, vision, design principles, and things like that, so that it was not a top-down global initiative, but everybody was involved and engaged and committed to make it happen. So in the end, we chose O9. O9, one letter, one number. And O9 Solutions is the company that we chose to work with. So some key figures here. What we achieved since, so basically we started the journey end of 2019. So today, 3 years later, we're live in 7 markets. So we went first live in Canada in the end of 2022. And then we had a couple of parallel implementations. So for instance, Brazil, China went in parallel, et cetera, et cetera. So now this is the coverage. In terms of our scope covers 7 modules. So we do demand planning, statistical forecast, and commercial enrichment inside O9. We do cost optimal network allocation, basically monthly solve runs inside the system. Then we do weekly supply network planning heuristics. We do daily deployment and multi-echelon inventory optimization, material requirements planning, and returnables. So returnables, we sell beer in bottles. The consumer drinks the beer and returns empty bottle to us. We wash it, and that's also the assets that we need to plan as well. So we also, in addition to, let's say, 7 markets, we also extended our scope for more countries. And on top of that, we are live in 11 countries for just demand planning statistics. So our core modules are today covering more than 60% of our volume sold. And we had lots of celebrations, lots of go-lives. So every market, every module, it was a sequential event. So lots of celebrations, lots of efforts to make it happen. So today we have 600 planners, active planners in the system. And we spend around 6,000-7,000 hours per month in the system. Our capture is double-digit $1 million. So we have a process that BUs need to commit to the savings to secure the funds. And so we delivered our savings in 2022, and we have an even larger commitment for 2023. So in terms of our complexity, you see that those markets here, so as you see, probably our highest volume sold is in Brazil, so we sell there around 100 million hectoliters. Then the biggest amount of breweries and DCs we have in China, biggest amount of SKUs in USA, and also USA has the largest amount of wholesalers. So we have a pretty significant scope. And our implementation started in Canada. Canada is a mid-size BU, so it was a part of our strategy. We decided that we want to start somewhere smaller before we onboard bigger BUs. And as a result, bigger BUs, China and Brazil, for instance, they could copy only 50% of Canada capabilities, and 50% they were missing. So we were implementing Brazil and China in parallel, and they were developing missing capabilities for their markets. And then when we went in 2022 to Europe, they were already benefiting from 70% of the developed capabilities, USA 80%, and Mexico and Colombia is our last 2 business units. They are already 93% compliant with what has been developed. So this, of course, required a lot of global governance. So this is our organization structure. So we have a global project team, which is myself and my team. And I work very closely with global process owners. They are very hands-on, helping us to drive this implementation, help us triage design decisions, define exit criteria, and things like that. So we work cross-functionally, collaboratively in global with the process owners. I have a global solution team, my partner in crime. Over time, we created also O9 global team. That was not the case since the beginning, but then we realized that's a lot of knowledge sharing that is missing. We start each project from scratch, so we really need online global team as well. And our, let's say, it's a globally led organization, but our largest teams, they are at BU level. So at each BU or each region would have around 20, 30 people, both ABI, online, to make it happen. We worked with the consultants. So in the beginning, we worked with Accenture that helped us choose the supplier. Then we worked with Accenture all the time for digital decoupling and all the integration activities. We rely on them in all the markets. We used Genpact in the beginning to help us drive the global template design discussions. And then probably Genpact was with us for half of the implementation in Canada. And then we went with consultants only for like specific pain points where we really didn't know how to transform our business. So I would say majority of the time, 80% of the time, we work directly with online solutions without consultants. In terms of innovations, so we chose O9 and we knew that they are young, ambitious company. And we knew that we would need to invest a lot of time from ourselves as well to co-create and through shared thought leadership design capabilities. So I would say today 50% of the O9 CPG reference model is shaped by ABI needs. And this was exciting but time-consuming and effort-consuming journey. So we introduced cost-optimized network allocation. So we brought solvers. We took with us solver from Gurobi, but then O9 helped us to enrich the solver, for instance, with things like tax optimization in Brazil and direct shipment in the USA. We introduced decision handoffs, things also new for us, so that monthly corner decisions, they guide our weekly heuristic solve, and then it also guides daily deployment plan. We introduced some of the things for inventory planning, like shelf life and special min-max approach in China, because they have a certain industry reality which did not fit, let's say, traditional inventory policy that we have elsewhere. For master data management, we introduced attributes-based data management and real-time integration with SAP. We also have a satellite project. It's called Capacity Tool. So basically, there are some complex solver capabilities that help us calculate our capacities. And we also introduced forecasting of returns, how many empty returns we will receive from the market for our returnable packaging. So this was a great journey in terms of building new technologies. We also transformed processes on our side. So in demand planning, for instance, we built two global hubs, one in Mexico, one in India, and they calculate statistical demand for, let's say, for the globe. So this was a transformation for us. We also brought lots of external, internal best practices into our processes and raised the bar for our excellence standards during this journey. In supply planning, our key transformation was we started using heuristics, which was not the case. We were always using solver, which takes lots of time. And this was the biggest change management in supply chain planning for us, and still remains, because people are used to get the most optimal plan, but we keep on saying that it needs to be feasible rather than optimal. In MAIO, in inventories, we are on the way to break silos. So we are starting to look at how we should define our inventory policy, knowing the entire supply chain at different nodes. And in returnable packaging, it was a transformation because we used Excel or nothing, and we had to switch to the system, and that was the biggest challenge for us. In terms of the adoption, so because we are already 3 years in this journey, and we are already 60% covered, like half of my time is now more linked with how we should live post-go live, and how continuous improvement should look like. So everybody's talking adoption, but what is adoption? So after talking with some Gartner experts, I arrived to this vision of adoption. So it basically has 4 steps and supported by the product functionality adoption roadmap, and I will go one by one through this adoption vision. So we start with asking the question, are we actually using the system? So O9 has capabilities to track how much users spend time in the system, in which page, in which view, and so we build these Power BIs where we throw all this data from all the countries, and we're able to compare how much planners spend in each country, to what pages they use, what they don't use, why they're not using it, shall we retrain them to start using it. And so this helps us to understand what is our actual usage of the system. And so this was our journey. So last year we doubled amount of hours spent in the system, and we also doubled amount of active users. Part of this step, we also are now implementing workflows. So we have been doing some benchmarks, and there are digital adoption solutions like WalkMe, and what their key feature is workflows. And O9 started offering this as part of their package. So workflows is kind of standardized, like digital standard operational procedure, so that the user, if he needs to do some repetitive tasks, there is a clear workflow, which steps he needs to take. And we're also thinking now to introduce tracking of how these workflows used, how much time users spend on them, where they drop, do they really go through all the steps. So this is very useful data insights that O9 gives us, and we're using to understand where we are using or not using the system. So at step 2, we are checking what is the quality of the solve, right? So we are tracking plan acceptance rate. So the system generated a certain plan, and does the planner actually agree with the suggested plan? So we introduced touchless KPIs, and here is example of one of our BUs, how they're tracking touchless of the plan, so by volume, by SKU, by planner, what are the main reason codes, SKUs, etc. And based on this is a data that we use to understand, okay, do we need some training? Do we need to understand what's wrong with the data? Do we miss some capabilities? Or there are certain things that planners don't know that they can do to start accepting the plan more and more. So on our journey towards adoption, our touchless KPIs are a great enabler and visibility for us to understand what is actually happening. So what is the value capture? So basically, these are all the business KPIs. So we are tracking, so as I mentioned, right, we have a double-digit savings delivered last year. We have a double-digit commitment this year. We have improved a lot of our KPIs that eventually drove to cost reductions. I here just show example of Colombia. It was our recent successful go live, and these are some of the KPIs that they improved. We're also, solve run times also now takes way less time. It allows us to run more scenarios, and it allows our planners to spend more quality time making the decisions. In terms of the last step of our adoption vision is, do we recommend the system? So this is about running NPS. So normally, if the user, step 1, is using the system, happy with the quality of the solve, is driving this business value, we expect that NPS should be high. So here's some of the feedback from end users during NPS survey. It's for me very, very rewarding to hear this feedback from end users, how happy they are with the solution, that a tool works fast, provides better visibility, they can run fast multiple scenarios, visualization is better, decreased tons of Excel files, saved tons of hours. So this is very rewarding, the feedback that we are getting from the end users. And the last is our product functionality roadmap. So our functional leads, global COE leads, they decide, okay, what is the future? What should we do next to further improve our solution? What new capabilities we need to bring? And also, because we had this parallel implementation in the use, we have done last year exercise of comparing what are the best practices that we can share between BUs? What are the things that BUs built that other BUs can leverage? Because we had this parallel implementation of several BUs at the same time. So this makes it a part of the product functional roadmap, and it also should support so that the users spend more time in the system, that they accept the plan, they drive the value, and in the end they're happy with the solution. Because as part of NPS survey, we often get the feedback from the users, which functionalities they use and how we can enhance the solution. So in terms of our learnings, I cannot say that we did very well in terms of change management. So only a couple of our BUs had a dedicated team for change management, and I could say that it's a huge enabler to make it a success. And the BUs that did the proper change management, they outperformed the ones that didn't do it. So the ones that didn't do it, they often would have lots of bumps on the way. So here I would like to bring you our role model for change management. So this is done in Mexico and Colombia. It consists of 5 pillars: leadership, communication, training, engagement, and surveys. So in terms of leadership, so what they did, they took interviews from all the senior leaders about the expectations from online, what would it take to be there, how much they are engaged, and they saw these videos were then projected in all our business shared service centers on the screens everywhere. Everybody's talking about Dyn, it's coming, it's creating positive expectations. It's something, nice positive things that will help us improve our ways of working. It'll be a huge enabler for us to improve our business. And so this is really powerful to see this messages from the leadership, how they are involved. They have their buy-in. I think it creates a positive attitude. Then we have a communication plan. I think the strategy for communication plan is over-communicate. So we're using all these tools. They even created like a special emoji, online emoji. So it was lots of, what are the frequent questions asked, and each step we move each phase of the project. What are we doing? What are the pain points? What are we doing with them? So communicate and over-communicate. In terms of training plan, so that's obviously a super important thing. They did really well in Mexico and Colombia. They created manuals, e-learnings. They also included some of the soft skills that are going to be needed in the new ways of working. So what are the test cases during the training, some evaluations, post-evaluations, and things like that. And then also engagement, so some physical, playful, disruptive activities. So as you see here, they're doing some fun. So it's just really face-to-face, engage, create this collaborative team spirit, and engage. There's going to be a super successful story and be part of this successful story. This one, the last one, is I think is the most critical one. So change management team, they went to the end users without the project team, and they were asking end users, what's your feedback, what are your concerns, and then they were making action plans, and they had these regular touch points and different surveys, resistance surveys, acceptance surveys, et cetera, and then they came back and communicated back to these end users, okay, these are the things that you raised, this is the actions that we took, are you happy, not happy, what are the other things that we can do? So these are the 5, let's say, pillars of the change management, and we had some couple examples where it was done in a really outstanding way and brought lots of benefits. In terms of other learnings, so we do have a strong partnership with the vendor. So we are co-creating solution together. They invest in us, we invest in them our time, we share our experience, learnings, and it's really working well. They're very open. They are open to solve all our problems, and it's been a really, truly great experience. So we did this globally led execution of the project. I know that some companies, they create like a global team, and then the global team travels around and implements the solution. That's the approach. This is our approach. It worked. So this can work as well, right? So the learning for us is that, yes, this also can work. I think in ABI we have trustful relationship, global and regions. Global, we try to position ourselves as we are here to help servant leadership. So normally BUs are coming to us with their problems, and we're trying to solve them. So we have this historically. Over time, we build this kind of relationship. So for us, this worked. Then the trade-off between speed of implementation versus global template. Yes, today, 3 years later, we have a patchy design. So we're trying now to fix it. We're doing this comparison. We now already identified what are the things that we want to bring back to be used as the best practice of what has been developed somewhere else. So this is the work that we now need to do. It's our conscious choice. We went fast. In 3 years, we covered 60% of the volume. Some of the more modules, 90%, 70%. So this was our conscious choice, and now we're just dealing with the consequences. But I think we're dealing with them well. And the last one is a lot of knowledge, experience, best practice sharing. So we had to organize lots of forums and share who's doing what inside ABI, inside O9. O9 was not really good at it in the beginning. I think they really ramped up now, created a global structure, and now it's improved big times. But it's critical when you approach the project like this, that you have regional teams implementing the solutions, and you need this global governance to share all the knowledge so that you don't reinvent the wheel. So our future roadmap. So we still have a couple of countries that we would like to go live for the end-to-end scope. That would bring us to 80% of the volume coverage. That is South Africa and South Korea. We are starting new models. So we extend our contract. We added verticals. We now kicked off in Brazil supply collaboration model. We want to go further with IBP foundation and analytics. And we also, of course, want to bring new capabilities for the models that are already live. We want to go with more markets for just TP statistics. We do have carryover. Not all the markets are live with all the models. And our focus remains on continuous improvement, adoption, and value capture. So I'm leaving you here my contact in LinkedIn. I post our journey on LinkedIn, so feel free to stop by and drop me a message. I'm open to answer any questions you have. And now we're moving to Q&A. Yes.
You mentioned earlier you had some root causing templates, obviously to help the supply planners. Was that something that was globally developed, or was it something that you developed as you worked with the markets? Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yes. So basically, we created like a library where we were capturing all the things that we are developing. So it was a document with the links to all the user stories. So we were tracking what are the things that we are building in every BU. And then as a result of all this work, we have identified what are the critical capabilities that we believe should definitely travel around the world. And so we packaged them as libraries, and they are ready to be ported to the BUs as long as they say, yes, that's something that we need. So it was growing like a snowball. And we were thinking that maybe we should migrate. After we developed everything, Mexico, Colombia was already at 93%. We're thinking maybe we need to migrate all the BUs to like a new global template. It's very costly. It's like re-implementation. So practically, it would make more sense just package libraries and send them back to the BUs rather than do like full implementation and make everybody on the global template, new global template.
Okay, so what you're saying is you've ended up with a couple of different libraries depending on the different releases that you've had in the different regions.
Yes. And also on O9, they have their own product releases. So every quarter, they release product updates. So as part of this, they bring new capabilities, new functionalities. They are free for us because we are paying the license. So we are adopting them as well. And some of them are the ones that we actually asked, right? So there is a process how we can ask O9 to add capabilities that impact their product. And it has to go through some specific process, voice of the customer, things like that. R&D team is working on this, and then every quarter they release. We wait for those releases because there are things that we were waiting for that are coming, and then the regions start adopting those things that are coming from the releases.
And that's why you stress the close working relationship with them, because they would roll out some of your suggestions.
Yes, they are quite open And we thought that they're not doing well on this part, but they showed us statistics that actually we are a great part of their product development. We are the largest client. Speed can be improved, but that's the reality. Those things, they take a lot of time for the vendor to develop and then test and make it available. Good. Yes?
You mentioned that you did a blueprint of your process, but it's also sort of local rollout and then build-up.
Yes.
How do you balance the two?
Yeah, so basically we have excellent standards. So for each, for demand planning, for inventory planning, for supply network planning, we have process excellent standards that define, no matter which system you have, this is how your process should be, right? And we are every year evaluating business units versus those standards. They have targets to be at a certain level. So we do this through this, let's say, excellent standards. And then when the BUs are coming with some developments, especially big developments, global process owners, Chris is sitting next to you, he's global process owner for inventories. They're reviewing those requiremements that are coming from BUs, and they say, yeah, okay, it makes sense, or no, it's against our process standards. So this is how we're trying to catch, things that are not aligned with our standards. And our vendor also sometimes pushes us back and says, you're coming with something unreasonable, let's rethink and come up with another solution. So this iterative process. But I think everybody as a starting point has in mind this process standards, and that drives the, as you say, blueprint. And it's system agnostic. Yeah. Good. Any other questions? Yes.
You mentioned that you had a local team and a global team.
Yes.
At one point in time, how big was the local team and how big was the global team?
Yes, so the local team, I would say 20, 30, 40 people, together 09 and ABI. Depends on the size of the BU. Global team, so we have 3 people working on the project dedicated. Global process owners, I have 4 more people. Their time dedication, I don't know, 30, 40%, 20%, depends on their priorities. So we work cross-functionally, collaboratively. And then I have in solutions 1 dedicated person for all planning system, but it's mainly 09. I would say 80% of this person time is 09. And he has a leader, solutions, IT leader that also spends time on 5 projects, and it's one of them. So from solution sides, I have, let's say, 1.2 FTE.
But you have used that
Hmm?
local. The majority of the people are local.
The majority of the people, I would say the biggest size of the team is a local team. Yes, they are very hands-on in terms of developing the sprint plans, following everything. But all the global team has weekly touch points with the BUs where they review the plans, the results, the progress, the cut boost results, forest, rainforest, whatever results. So they review all of this, and they're also helping to drive the right decisions and program forward. Yes.
You mentioned your workflow templates.
Yeah.
I guess I've got a couple of questions, but I'll limit them to maybe just 2. How integral were those in terms of getting the adoption or getting the discipline,
Yeah.
getting the planners, let's say, in the system?
Yeah.
And I guess my second question was how detailed did you go? Did you have to outline every hour of every day?
For us, it's something new. So we have 1 BU that adopted it well, and we are now asking all the other BUs, showing them the benefits. Let's do it. Let's do it. So I think we still have, let's say, work to do in that space. It's a relatively new capability that online brought us. We think it's a great tool, but we're not using it at this stage for the days, for instance, right? No, it's like I have a task, for instance, create an SKU, and these are certain things that the person needs to do, and we don't want to make any mistakes at this process. So this is just guide some repetitive tasks. So also we're using it for induction, so for the training, or if somebody is going on holidays and for the cover, we create this steps in the process. We believe it has a great future potential for adoption, and we are trying to sell it to all the BUs. Let's embrace it, let's implement, and we also want to start tracking how those workflows actually used, how many people are using them, do they go through all the steps, at which step they drop, how much time they spend on each step. So these are the things that we have in the roadmap.
Judith, the local teams that you refer to,
Yes.
are they implementation teams or are they user groups or both?
Yeah, we have on the project team somebody who's dedicated 100% on the project team, and we have a business team. It can be 100%, can be partial dedication. Also depends on the stage of the project. The dedication can be different. But normally we have business representative, project representative, IT representatives, and then O9 and Accenture for sure for integration piece. So this is...
Is that the centre of excellence after the implementation as well? Or
Naturally, they actually convert to center of excellence. That's what we see as a natural evolution. And today we have the concept that we will create 2 hubs for adoption. So all the things that are part of adoption vision, we want to create 2 global hubs and support them out of the 2 global hubs to track all the users' behaviors, what are the to create trainings, track NPS, drive further touchless. So our strategy is to create 2 global hubs. But today's indeed, like myself, I also kind of naturally converted from program lead to adoption lead, and similar things are happening at the BUs. But we want to centralize them a bit to have synergies. Yeah. Good. Thank you so much for your time.